Guy comes in and the
You're
horn player
listening to
plays.
Orange underscore they/them and the buzz.
Shout out to Magic Wizard Money Gang.
Imagine Dragons starts
No,
crying.
it's Shadow Wizard Money Gang. We love casting spells.
That's me for. I was having a conversation with Randy about this because we were watching the character trailers for Ruby, and I said there needs to be more characters that use like a fucking Guts Berserk sword, but are casting like fucking destructive like fire and ice magic.
What is there something that inspired this idea? Why specifically?
I
literally
literally just opened up with it, Bone.
I feel like I missed
I
something.
mean, Ruby is pretty well established as being a show where everyone has a big weapon that turns into a different big weapon and also a special magic power. It's like Mask.
I just heard something about more characters needing the sword and the ice and magic.
Yeah, Bone. I opened it up with saying that me and Randy were watching Ruby,
Okay,
the
I
Ruby
missed that
character
part.
trailers, and it made
Didn't
me
even hear
go,
where he
there
opened up with that.
The
They
Ruby
should
character
go-
trailers.
Oh, fantastic.
The best part of Ruby.
Fantastic. Hold on a second. I literally didn't. I didn't use my Switch at all in the past 3 days, so we're exactly where we left off.
Fucking damn.
Resident Evil 4 had like my undivided attention. Okay then, back to it. Con, whenever you're ready, we can get started.
Oh, sorry. I wasn't clicked in the thing.
You good? You good?
I was wondering if Homestuck actually was a possibility, or if you guys were just joking about that.
We're not.
I might read it someday. If I ever get back to streaming, I might do it.
I think it's way too long.
Alright then. Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Awesome. No cracks or anything? Yes! And what exactly do you think you're doing?
The witch spoke almost as soon as I stepped into my chambers. I could hear her voice right in my ear, as if she were standing beside me. Which was especially jarring as she had been completely absent during my conversation with Imeon. She seemed to know what we had talked about, though, so I assumed she had been spectating from a safe distance. What do you mean?
You're hardly the type to take in poor wandering souls on a whim.
You're right. I should have asked you first. This is your house, after all.
Half mine, you mean? I should be thankful you let me have it. But you are the master of this house. And I...
Go on.
was never master. So, say and who you choose to let stay here.
But you will heckle me about it.
Of course. I need my entertainment.
Your microphone keeps cutting out a bunch.
Sorry, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Of course. I need my entertainment too.
Alright, perfect.
Sick. So, what are you going to do about, whatever his name was?
Imeon.
Right, that. I was hoping you would chase that dreadful thing out.
He says that he has business with you.
Oh, does he now?
So you weren't listening on the whole thing?
I'd be more than happy to hover over you every waking moment if that's what you'd prefer.
I'd rather you didn't.
As you can see, I respect your personal space. It wouldn't hurt you to show a bit of gratitude sometimes. So, what does that man want with me?
Not a clue. All he said is you wanted to ask the witch a favor.
A favor.
Indeed.
What a farce.
I agree. You would never grant the wish of a...
No, not that. That you happily passed on a stranger's request, but vehemently refused to make your own of mine. The offer still stands, my dear. Say the word, and I'll put a curse on your entire family.
I've told you repeatedly that I'm not going to ask you to do that.
Ugh, obstinate as ever, I see.
Anyway, I never asked you to grant his wish, only conveyed to you that he had one. He'll be dead in short order regardless. Oh.
A week or two at most. How tragic for him, betting the last remnants of his life on the legend of the cursed witch, only to be dealt a pair of heartless jokers. In all likelihood, he just wants me to cure whatever disease he has.
Why would a witch who deals in curses cure diseases anyway?
Now, it's not polite to judge someone by their appearance, my dear.
Are you saying you can do it?
Maybe, maybe not. Regardless, there is but one thing the two of us can do for him. Watch as the poor wretch's life slips away, alone and in the dark.
Yeah. Christ, this is hell. It shouldn't be this exhausting just to walk down the hall. I'd sure love to get a little more light in here. Might make moving around easier. Nah, this is fine. No light means I don't have to worry about how monstrous I look. His face is like a curse in itself. Okay, so the only places I haven't seen yet are this room and Michelle's room. He made it very clear he didn't want me anywhere near his room, so in practice that makes this the last one. Here goes. Damn. A huge stained glass window sat at the back of the chamber. The archangel within casted a faint light across the room. The light almost burned my eyes, which were still acclimated to the darkness. It felt almost like I was in the presence of an actual divine being. So we've got a guy named after an angel and a stained glass window of an archangel. Whoever called this place cursed didn't look very hard, I guess. This was closer to a damn temple, if anything. As I approached the source of the light, the shape of the room came into view. Rows of pews, a pulpit, and a cross. Looked like I was right on the money. I was in a chapel. The remains of one, anyway. The wooden pews had rotted to the point of uselessness, and the floor was peeling all over the place. It was like an abandoned shrine to a saint, hidden away in the dark corners of the mansion. Fascinating. The worst of it's been mended, but you can still see marks in the wall. Or it looks like it's been struck with a sword or something. Did a battle take place here? There's splotches of black on the floor. Blood stains, maybe? There's something on the pulpit, too. My mask. I figured he threw it out. So Michelle isn't all cold and heartless after all. Or maybe he just didn't feel like going outside. Who knows? Either way, I'll happily take it back. He's already seen my face, so it doesn't change much. But I feel better covering it up either way. My disease was highly stigmatized and said to be just as infectious. Not only was it obvious from my appearance, I was also required to carry around a bell to alert others to my presence. I lost that while wandering through the forest, but up until then, whenever I went into a town or city, I had to ring the bell as I walked. And surprise, surprise, it invited all sorts of dirty looks and people scrambling to get away from me. Churches would sometimes offer me aid, but that was a once-in-a-blue-moon occurrence. Effectively, I'd been through nothing but hell up until now. I hadn't done a damn thing, and yet they treated me like a murderer. In fact, I'd almost bet a criminal didn't get half the crap I did. Just thinking about it killed my mood. Yeah. He didn't hesitate to touch me, though. Does he not know what I have is contagious or something? I mean, it makes my life easier at least. And speak of the goddamn devil. Hey there, Michelle. It's been, what, a couple hours?
I found Imeon in the chapel. He had put his mask back on, despite the fact that I had already seen what it had hid. I couldn't imagine whatever he gained from wearing it was worth the obstructed vision, but surely he had his reasons. One hell of an impressive... it's you, shut up.
One hell of an impressive window you've got here.
I had a pretty good guess where he was going with that train of thought, and I was entirely disinterested in humoring it. He would start off with something about how beautiful and awe-inspiring it was. Not mentioning an archangel, then try to lead into...
You could make a frickin' fortune off this.
I beg your pardon?
Glass doesn't come cheap, especially not this colored sort of stuff. I was thinking if you found the right buyer, you could be rolling in dough.
Does he have any idea just how sacrilegious that is?
Let me guess, you're thinking, does he have any idea how blasphemous that is? And now you're thinking, can this fella read my mind?
I am not.
You should say what's on your mind. Otherwise, I'll just have to keep saying it for you.
So I disappoint you, but I'm not particularly talkative.
I'm not saying you have to yap on for days like me.
While what you said was indeed blasphemous, I do not disagree with the sentiment.
Oh, really?
It's just chunks of glass arranged in their shapes.
Bingo. There's no actual angel there, just man's depiction of one.
Who are you, anyway?
Well, that sure came out of nowhere. And you want me to spill my guts without doing the same for me.
My apologies. I have not had the chance to hold a conversation in some time.
I see, I see.
You are not obligated to say anything if you do not wish to. I would not answer if you asked me the same.
Sounds like we're on the same page then. The more we share, the more uncomfortable it's gonna make it for everyone. So let's keep things the way they are. A nice, cozy distance. I may be curious as I'll get out about what the hell you're doing out here all alone in the middle of frick all, but I won't pry. Ha! Alright, I'll tell you what I can do. I'm a nomad. Before I got sick, I traveled all across the lands. I had me a nice lute I'd strum as I trotted from place to place, singing songs and pretending I was a troubadour.
You are a traveler.
I could tell stories of my exploits for days on end if you want to hear them.
No, pass, thank you.
Your eyes tell me you're lying, buddy.
I'd rather you listen to what I said.
War stories over dinner, then. Sounds like a date. Now I've got a little question for you if you don't mind. Now not about where you came from or anything, I promise.
Yes?
Why didn't you say anything about my face?
I assumed you were going to ask about the witch, not me.
Hard not to be curious, you know. Everyone's grossed out by it.
He makes a fair point. Even Morgana was taken aback by the sight. I can imagine he would appear monstrous to someone who led a relatively normal life. And he's probably been subjected to less than charitable treatment for it. Which makes me wonder, how is he not drained and jaded by now? I don't understand how he can be quite so spirited. I have seen the kind of hardship that can be brought on someone by their appearance.
So what you're saying is it's nothing new to you.
Correct. I did think a little unusual, but nothing more. I understand your ailment is contagious.
What? You knew? Why did you help me then? Why didn't you hesitate to touch me? You carried me into the mansion, you handed me water, all the while knowing you could be infected.
I couldn't figure out how to honestly explain my actions. Part of it was me deliberately acting against Morgana's wishes, frustrated by her repeated insistence that I kill him. But the aura of death that hung over him was the biggest factor. There was something indescribably alluring about it. All I'll say is, I would have left you if you were in good health.
So it was pity. You've got nothing to gain from helping me. I don't have any money, and I'm definitely not a hot babe.
I have no intention in money. I have no interest in money or women. And to be clear, I didn't bring you out of the goodness of my heart either. When you said you thought you were a subject for my observation, you were correct. You're here predominantly because I want to observe a withered and half-dead mummy of a man.
A mummy, huh? Well, I hate to burst your bubble, but I'm just an ordinary guy.
Unfortunately so.
And here I thought you were only observing me because you didn't know about my disease. Never would have guessed it was the other way around. God, you really are one of the most bizarre fellas I've ever met. I was just gonna not say anything, keep it to myself. Use this as a chance to stretch my wings, enjoy not just being the unclean for once. Didn't much care either way if you ended up catching it. So
The witch has declined your request to speak with her.
Not even gonna let me finish, huh? I'll take that as a no apologies necessary then. Well, shit.
You have no reason to remain here. I left the bar off the front door for you.
The witch was my last resort. I saw who knows how many doctors. Not a one could do a thing. Hell, as soon as they saw me, the assholes tried to rob me blind with fees. It'll cost extra, because they're putting themselves at risk, they'd claim. So I traveled to other cities, towns, villages. If docs weren't gonna do anything, maybe I'd have better luck with regional remedies. Everything from herbal stuff to straight up hocus pocus. No effect, any of it.
I have no interest in an apology or his life story. So why haven't I turned and left yet? Why am I standing here listening to him talk?
All that left for me to turn to was God and the devil. But I figured God would just say, accept your lot in life. Shrug his shoulders and tell me to die in a ditch. But I wanted to live.
Even looking like that.
Damn right.
So what? Do you believe that if you tough it out, one day your valiant efforts will pay off? There's a light at the end of the tunnel. Because that's all fairy tale nonsense.
You're right. The real world doesn't work like that. We just tell ourselves it does because it makes it easier to get through the day. The fact of it is, life's a big ol' swamp, and no one's got a map. One wrong step, and it swallows you whole. Like a game designed by a goddamn 5-year-old. The odds are stacked against you, but like hell I'm gonna go down without a fight. I've got nothing to show for it yet. Which is exactly why I'm not ready to kick the bucket.
You never will have anything to show for it either. Your desire to make something of your life will only serve to drag you deeper into the depths. The more you tell yourself you can, the greater your pain when you realize you can't.
Sounds a hell of a lot like you're speaking from experience, buddy.
As I said, the witch will not be seeing you. You would do best to look elsewhere to fulfill your dying wishes.
You never know, bud. Tomorrow's another day. Maybe she'll be in a more accommodating mood then. But I'm sure not gonna let one measly no get the better of me.
The witch, Morgana, is a sadistic woman. If she reveals herself to you, it will only be to torture and kill you.
Can't say death much scares me these days. It's knocking on my door regardless. And you can never say for sure. Every woman's got at least 2 masks she switches between. Maybe she'll pick a friendlier one for me than she does for you.
You're a damned fool if you believe that. And she's a witch. Even if she would hear you out, she doesn't have the power to heal you. Ruin and destruction is her singular desire.
I have to ask, all you want from me is to watch me die, right? So what do you have to gain from warning me about the witch? Doesn't worrying about me run counter to your own wishes?
I am hardly worried about you.
Could have fooled me.
I am simply making a statement of fact. You'd only be wasting your time trying to see the witch.
I haven't seen the proof, so I'm not convinced it's as much of a fact as you claim. Which means this conversation's going exactly nowhere.
Do as you please. I won't try to chase you out anymore. But don't come crying to me when my words prove true.
Much obliged, buddy. That's one less hurdle to trip over on my way to making a huge ass out of myself.
I would like you to promise me one thing, though.
Sure thing.
I'll leave the bar off the front door. So when the time comes, make sure you save yourself enough energy to get yourself outside before you die. I don't want to have to clean up the mess.
You're a real treat, buddy. After our little chat, Michelle gave me permission to make use of anything in the mansion. Still came with the condition that I stayed away from his room and didn't pry into his personal life, but that seemed fair enough, considering I didn't want him digging into mine either. In fact, I couldn't have asked for a better arrangement. After so long wandering with food a constant uncertainty, having a roof over my head and meals at my convenience was heaven on earth. He had dried foods and smoked meats in his cellar, as well as bread, which last I checked didn't store for very long. But he never seemed to leave the house, so I did recall hearing some rumors on my way here. Whispers of a shadowy carriage occasionally seen heading toward the cursed mansion. No one knew for sure what it carried, but there was a general consensus. Offerings to the witch. Fresh sacrifices to keep her appeased. Which was obvious nonsense. No one was sending shipments of virgins to offer to the witch. A basket of bread and other supplies now, maybe? Rumors have a way of taking on a life of their own, but that was so patently absurd I couldn't believe anyone bought it. That still left me with scores of questions, though. Who was bringing Michelle the supplies, and for what purpose? Why did he never leave? Was he imprisoned here for some iniquity? But obviously I had no intention of seeking out the answers. If we spent long enough together, I would probably find out eventually. But I knew damn well I didn't have that kind of time left. What point was there to lifting the curtains on someone else's life when chances were I was gonna croak not long after? I had no intention of repeating Pandora's mistake. If I was gonna spend my last days here living with him, I wasn't gonna get anywhere near that jar and risk making waves. I couldn't say whether or not that was the best strategy. But regardless, I made it through our first 2 weeks together well enough. And in those 2 weeks, it seemed like the two of us were talking more and more. I was standing before the stained glass window. It had become routine for me to spend a few hours for each far too long day in the mansion's chapel. I wasn't so naive as to think the angel would grant me relief, but I did sorta enjoy being in the presence of something so magnificent and undeniably beyond my reach. It was impressive in the same way as any other massively expensive piece of art. Now that I think about it, I never really appreciated art when I was younger. Couldn't even tell the difference between what was good and bad. Maybe because I was just a kid. Or because there was nothing there to appreciate.
Imeon.
Hmm.
Imeon?
Oh, hey. Sorry. Lost in my thoughts. What's the occasion? You almost never initiate.
I need your help with something.
Damn, is the sky gonna fall today? So what can I do for you?
I'm going to cover up the stained glass window.
You're gonna... what?
It seemed, unsurprisingly, that this is the last thing he had expected to come out of my mouth. And the incredulity was obvious, even in his raspy old man's voice. I could easily imagine the expression he might be making beneath the mask, if he had a face left to make it with.
Would asking for a reason count as prying?
No particular reason. I simply dislike the sight of it.
Well, that's a damn shame. I rather enjoyed my time with it.
I seem to recall you saying that it was nothing more than colored glass.
In a spiritual sense, sure, but do I look like I'm praying to it? No, I'm admiring the craftsmanship. It's one hell of a piece.
I see.
Though I've pretty much got the thing memorized by now, so sure. Let me give you a hand.
Thank you. Follow me. I gave Imeon a quick glance, then started off down the hall. I walked at a relaxed pace, because as much as he tried to hide it, he was walking visibly more sluggish than 2 weeks prior. Even breathing seemed to be an endeavor for him. As I walked, I made sure he was keeping up by the sound of his footsteps, but never once did I turn back to look. Facing away, I said, "You didn't have to come along."
Excuse me? You're the one who asked me to.
Don't you think it's a bit inconsiderate to ask someone in your condition to do hard physical labor? No one with any common decency would do that.
Well, I guess that puts you in the clear. I'm just joking. Don't bite my head off.
I didn't say anything.
I wouldn't say I think it's inconsiderate, personally. In fact, I really appreciate you not giving me special treatment. of any kind. You don't go easy on me because I'm sick, and you don't put me through the ringer for it either. I prefer it that way, us both on level ground.
If you say so.
I know I just said I appreciate you not going easy on me, but this is a bit much, don't you think? And holy hell, this room's 10 times mustier than the rest of the joint. I've got it. This is a really freaking roundabout way of murder, isn't it?
I told you that you didn't have to help. The two of us were looking down on an old, withered bundle of cloth that had been in the mansion longer than even I had. It was a single piece, large enough to cover the entire stained glass window, and thick enough to block out its light. Fabric was far heavier than most people realized, and something this thick and tightly woven was going to weigh a ton. I knew I wouldn't be able to carry it into the chapel by myself. You're free to head back to your room.
I'll do it, I'll do it. I'm not backing out now. Besides, there's not a chance in hell you're getting this up there alone. It's not that long of a walk from here to the chapel, I think. Alright, let's do this. Hey, you. Hold up. I need a breather.
I think that was like heavy breathing.
What? Hey, don't drop it without warning me, asshole. And quit trying to act like you're hot shit. I can see you're just as winded as me.
What do you know? I'm perfectly fine.
Someone's out of shape.
You're the last person I want to hear that from.
Hey now, at least I have an excuse. You're in perfect frickin' health. And look at me, I'm half dead here. Before I got sick, I could run for 24 hours straight, no problem.
Alright, let's get going.
Are you deaf? Finally, we made it. I seriously thought I would die before we got here. That's one for the gravestone. Died carrying a bundle of fabric. Not trying to hide it anymore, are ya?
Not a word.
I'm laughing and I'm coughing.
Where is this coming from? And please don't cough and laugh at the same time. It's disturbing.
I don't know. it's hilarious.
What is?
You don't think this is the funniest damn thing in the world? Two grown-ass men carrying a giant sheet through the dark, grinding themselves to the bone so they don't have to look at a pretty stained glass window. Like, for real, are you hearing that? It's the stupidest thing.
I can't say I find it amusing myself.
Well, you're lost, buddy. Let's finish this up then, shall we? I assume the pulpit isn't nailed down, so we can use that to get some height.
He seems to be enjoying himself. I can't imagine enjoying much of anything in that kind of condition. I'm not sure if I'll ever be able to understand him. The way he's being so upbeat is kind of bringing me down. Why should him acting cheerfully have any effect on me? I buried that emotion long ago. What are you doing here exactly?
Huh? Haven't we been over this? I want to ask the witch.
You're no fool. I need to tell you that the witch isn't real. The past 2 weeks, I let Imeon explore the house as he pleased. He'd likely seen everything but my chambers by now. It should have been obvious that there was no third person living here. I was the only one who could hear the witch's voice. I was the only one who could feel her presence. All the servants my family had sent over the years were proof of that. She may have existed for me, but from his perspective, there was no meaningful differences between that and her not existing at all. Remember what you said in the storeroom? There's not a chance in hell you're getting this up there alone. If you still believe the witch was real, if you still believe there was a third person living in this mansion, you wouldn't have said that. What do you want from this place? Somewhere to die? Do you want to make this your final resting place?
Someone's feeling talkative today.
This isn't funny.
It's comfortable here. There's a warmth to the darkness. It doesn't reject me for being impure.
Impure?
That's right. It's what everyone says about me. I have no say in the matter. I have an impure disease, so that makes me impure. I think it's story time. What do you say? This time we'll go into a little more detail. My life was set. I had dozens of friends and a wonderful, loving family. I didn't bother with the family business, instead spending my days wandering. But on one of my trips, I got sick and I got scared. So I rushed back home wanting nothing more than to see my family and friends again. But when I got there, no one recognized me as me. They called me a demon, impersonating their Imeon.
A demon. Oh, hey, George.
My God. He's saying the boy in our family has no need for a demon child. That you're a mark of shame on our name. So he's going to have you executed.
They came to the consensus that the real Imeon was still off traveling. They wouldn't accept me for who I was just because I didn't look like what they thought I should.
What does this have to do with my question?
Basically, what I'm saying is, there's not many people who are willing to see the truth.
The truth?
That I am who I say I am. That I'm Imeon, not some evil doppelganger. The only person who sees me as an ordinary fella is you, Michelle.
I do not
I
agree.
do not agree.
Oh, whoopsies. Bleh.
I do not agree with Father's decision. I do not want to lose you. I don't think you're a demon child.
Don't misconstrue apathy for...
I don't care why. All that matters is that you do. You see me for who I am. And that's the most amazing feeling.
I haven't done anything to warrant that reaction. And if there's one thing I can tell you, is that it's foolish to rely on anyone for emotional support. Don't blindly put your trust in me. And don't expect anything out of me. Please.
Like I said, I don't care why.
As I stood there in silence, Imeon's laugh echoed off the chapel's walls. He then climbed onto the pulpit, which was probably brutal on his joints, though he didn't show it, crossed his legs and looked up at the glass angel. His arms were as thin as twigs, his voice raspy as an old man's, his hair devoid of all sheen, his entire body deteriorating. Even the most callous of men would cringe at the piteous sight. Yet he sat there with his head held so high, a smug smirk on his face. For a split second, the thought crossed my mind that if the name Michelle didn't belong to me, but to him instead, he would have been able to just laugh off that painting. And as soon as I caught myself, I froze.
Back to your question. What do you think? Why do I want to stay here even though the witch doesn't exist?
I knew what he wanted me to say, and I knew that I couldn't. I hadn't done a single thing to deserve that from him. What he felt was disproportionate to reality.
Silent treatment again? You figured it out, though. I know you have. There's your answer. If I were even half what I used to be, I'd love to drag you out of this house, kicking and screaming. Travel far and wide together. Find the place you feel more at home than anywhere else in the world. Be nice, wouldn't it?
Leave me out of your fantasies. I can only think that way because he led such a cushy life. That may have come crashing down when he got sick, but only someone who had been well off would ever think that there was hope to be found outside. And on top of that, he was simple and honest enough to admit it. Just jealous of him. That's all it is.
Take a seat up here on the pulpit with me. Feels like you're shoving your ass right in God's face. I wish I'd tried this sooner. It's frickin' incredible. It really is. Between the two of us, guy who probably couldn't overpower a rabbit, and someone on death's damn doorstep, covering up the stained glass window was a grueling task. That day marked a turning point in our relationship, though. It was an insignificant change, something I doubted anyone but us would even be able to notice, but it wasn't the degree that mattered. There was a real shift in the air between us. Michelle didn't seem to be so persistently wary of me anymore. And I started to feel more relaxed in his presence. I didn't have to prove anything to anyone here. In part because he didn't pry into my personal life, but also because my time was so limited, I didn't have any reason to keep up a front anymore. The biggest factor, though, was that no one else here knew who I was.
Time to time, Imeon and I would have supper together. I wasn't going out of my way to spend time with him. I didn't particularly mind it either. I had no reason to. We stayed out of each other's businesses, and we both knew it was a temporary arrangement. As his disease worsened, his once exasperating vigor seemed to seem more and more obviously like a facade. When he spoke, it was like I could hear the remnants of his fading soul spill out with each gravelly syllable. It's really difficult to make out what he said at all. But still, he persisted to act as though nothing was wrong around me. He acted in kind, making sure not to touch on his deteriorating condition.
You know, we never did get around to talking about my adventures.
Nobody's stopping you.
You could just be honest and say you want to hear them. I can see it in your eyes. You love adventure stories. Not only that, you want to go on some yourself.
That could not be further from the truth.
Alright, let's see. How about the story of the battle in the Northlands? About 5 years back, I was traveling the lands far north. Heavy snowfall covered the land in the winter, stretching as far as the eye can see. And with the arrival of spring, it would melt and rejuvenate the earth. It was a lot colder up north than it is down here, but the lands were fertile nonetheless. And naturally, where there's fertile land, there's people fighting over it. 2 countries, one to the east and one to the west, vied for control over this particular area. I watched the battle from the safety of a nearby hill. The theater for this battle was a large plain, a sea situated to the north. Separating the two was a river flowing south from the sea. It wasn't a very deep river, though. Both horses and infantry could cross it, albeit with some difficulty. The Western Army attacked first. They outnumbered and were better equipped than the Eastern Army. Their soldiers well trained and commanders sharp. Planning and organization allowed them to cross the river with ease. Once they were on the other side, they stormed the Eastern Army. Now, how do you suppose the battle went?
It wouldn't make for a very good story if the Western Army simply went on to defeat the Eastern Army. Because you're asking, I presume the Eastern Army had something up their sleeve?
Jeez, you're the worst kind of guy to tell a story to, buddy. Play along at least, would ya?
I had to burst your bubble, but I'm not a child listening to a bedtime story.
Well, you're right about one thing. I would have framed things differently if the Western Army was gonna win. Maybe gone into detail about how advanced their equipment was, how strong their soldiers were, name-dropped a commander or two. But no, the Western Army did not conquer the Eastern Army. In fact, they were both defeated.
Oh.
Yep, thanks to the intervention of a third force. Now, where do you suppose this mysterious third force came from?
It was the Danes.
You've gotta be kidding me. You suck at this.
Given what you described, 2 sides divided by a river flowing from the sea to the north, the larger Western Army crossing over to take the Eastern Army by surprise, the logical conclusion is that the third force would travel down the aforementioned river. Neither side had ships able to sail such shallow waters, so they didn't anticipate an attack from the river. The Danes to the north, however, have numerous ships capable of exactly that. That's why they're feared as the Lords of the Sea.
Yep, that's exactly right. Thanks for skipping all the good parts and going straight to the answer. A fleet of ships with dragon heads on both ends sailed down the river after the Western Army crossed, quickly making land. The Danes are fearsome warriors, and big boys at that. They attacked both armies from behind, taking them out in no time. And the land fell into the hands of the invaders from the north. Then, once it was all over, I hauled ass right the hell out of there.
I've only read of the Danes' fearsome prowess in books. If you'd witness an actual ambush...
Jealous. See, what did I tell ya? You're all about these adventure stories.
I am not.
Well, I sure am. The Danes, they can travel both shallow waters and the open sea. The whole world is at their fingertips. Everyone just thinks they're savages. They don't see their potential. I wonder what's out there across the seas. What wondrous world awaits beyond those waters? I bet it's heaven on earth out there. A land unlike anything you can find traveling on foot.
So long as man infests the surface, you will find no heaven on this earth.
I knew you weren't a people person, but hot damn, you're worse than I ever imagined. You can't make it through life on misanthropy and cynicism alone. Someone needs to teach you how to dream, buddy.
Dreams are just that. Fantasies never to be realized.
Dreams are freedom. Doesn't matter if you're sick or a sinner, infirm or exiled, you can go anywhere inside your head. You have complete and absolute freedom in your dreams.
All empty hopes and dreams erode this spirit. I gave up on mine for a reason.
If I were in good health, I could have asked the Danes to take me on one of their longships. Bring me somewhere far, far away from here. A place where everyone's equal. No poor and no rich to oppress them. No one being judged for their looks or the family they were born into. I could have gone on another adventure. Brought you along this time. Found our paradise.
I'm pretty sure the only way you're getting on a longship is as a captive to the Danes.
Remember what I said about dreams like 3 seconds ago? Shove that silly realism into a box and lock it up. You can dream whatever sort of crazy, outrageous nonsense you...
Imeon?
Don't worry about... Okay, so back to story time. After I escaped from the Danes, I crossed paths with this incredible bard. This one's gonna blow your mind, I'm sure.
I'm
sure.
I didn't tell him not to push himself. He knew his own condition far better than me. I didn't have to tell him continuing was a bad idea. My role was to be quiet and listen. Imeon then sung for me a song he supposedly learned from the bard. I could sing way better than this back then, he said with a strained laugh before beginning the raspy ballad. Every note melted into a sort of indistinct flat buzz, but it was still somehow pleasant to listen to. Perhaps because I could imagine what his voice may have sounded like in its prime. A bright, optimistic, unwavering, powerful voice. All the more enchanting this existed only in my imagination. As I listened to him sing, so much that I'd kept sealed away slowly crept back to the surface. I felt like I was being whisked away into a far, distinct world, by the tales of his exploits and the bard's song. With Imeon, his hand held out, waiting to take mine. The world led off to a new world, buddy, on his lips. But his time on this earth was drawing to a close. Those fantasies faded to fade into nothing.
You aren't seriously going to make friends with him, are you? I thought you were better than that. Or do you think you'll get something out of this? Well, you're sorely mistaken. You've forgotten what you truly are. And you've gotten it in your head that you can be equals with him. Your heart brims with blight. Yet here you are, grasping at companionship, knowing full well it's but a fleeting illusion. What do you have to gain from forging a friendship with him? Already tired of me, are you, my dear? Very well. I shall take my leave. Despite what they may say, I'm a very kind-hearted girl. To those whose fates are sealed, that is. I pray you're blessed with moonbeams tonight.
That night, I had a dream. Not a nightmare, no dream of the past. A warm, pleasant, slightly bittersweet dream. I hadn't had one like this in quite some time. An endless field stretched out before us. We pushed our way through the seed of waist-high grass, pressing onward toward the ever-distant horizon. The spring breeze wisped past, caressing my cheek. At my side stood a man beaming as bright as the sun. He had hair of deep scarlet, like the color of the setting sun. His eyes were unflinching, his lips showing his strong resolve. His chest was smooth and muscular, and he had a musky scent. It was my first time seeing his face, but I knew exactly who he was.
Not much farther now.
The man spoke.
Our paradise is just up ahead.
His lips curled up. It was a smile that might look condescending on any other face, but on his it seemed perfectly natural, not a trace of disdain. In fact, anything but a cocky smirk would have seemed out of place, which made reality that much more bitter.
Here on the other side of the sea, in this beautiful land, no one will think less of us for anything. If someone happens to find out about you, no one's gonna make a big deal out of it. And no one's gonna be afraid of my disease.
I was well aware of the fact that it was a dream, and I thought it a rather cruel one. Imeon was right. I did love adventure stories, and I did want to go on one of my own. This was the very thing I had wished for since I was a child. Two men setting out together, free from obligations, on a journey to see the world, exploring the unknown and sharing that experience with a dear friend. But it could never happen. Not so long as I was who I was, and not so long as Imeon was sick and on the verge of death. It is a dream we could never make come true, no matter how badly we wanted it, no matter how hard we fought for it. It wasn't an entirely impossible dream, though. There was one part of it that could become reality. The two of us becoming friends. There's probably enough time before he died for me to get close enough to tell him how I really felt. That I just wanted a friend. That I just wanted to be able to laugh and frown and get upset like an ordinary guy. Like him. There may be time, but that's not enough. I had spent too much of my life isolated. I had almost irreversibly adapted to the solitude. Breaking through that shell would be no easy task, especially not with my unspeakable secret hovering over me. The very fact of my nature, which had transformed me from the namesake of an angel into an abominable demon that didn't deserve to live. Something I couldn't tell anyone, couldn't let anyone find out, which meant that a normal friendship was impossible for me to form, and I knew that far too well.
That night I had a dream. Not a nightmare, nor a dream of the past. A warm, pleasant, slightly bittersweet dream. I hadn't had one like this in quite some time. An endless field stretched out before us. We pushed our way through the sea of waist-high grass, pressing onward toward the ever-distant horizon. A spring breeze wisped past, caressing my cheek. At my side stood a man with a somewhat forlorn look on his face. He had long silver hair that fluttered in the wind. A darkness was visible beneath the pale red of his eyes, and his lips were furled into a half-scowl. He was tall enough that I had to look up at him. The man furrowed his brow, as if to scorn the shining sun for daring to be brighter than the candlelight he was so used to. It was my first time getting a good look at him. I might have gotten some of the smaller details wrong, but he was still very distinctly the Michelle I knew. I pointed toward the horizon and said, That's where our paradise awaits. He didn't seem to believe we would actually find anything, but still he joined me on my endless journey with nary a complaint. So all it takes is bringing him into my dreams to drag the cynicism out of him, I thought. Then with a laugh I said, we would make pretty good friends, don't you think? His eyes swam for a few moments before he finally muttered a response.
Many years ago, I dreamed of having something like that.
You gotta be a little more specific.
Like my two brothers.
Keep going.
Someone I could share anything with. I could do the same with me. Someone who understands me without need of words.
The classic image of a friend. Two guys who've always got each other's backs. Michel crossed his arms and turned his head away. He might have even blushed, but I couldn't see for sure. I had mixed feelings, though mostly I was glad to hear he felt that way, and I wanted to make that dream come true. We'll be just like that. You'll see, buddy. Another breath of wind blew past. I was pretty sure I was smiling. The way I always did. The way I always pretended to. My self-confident, utterly vacuous smirk. If we really got to know each other, there was no way we would ever be friends. True friendship was impossible to achieve between us. And I knew that far too well.
I awoke in the darkness, in a house where the time of day held no meaning. The same sight awaited me every morning. Before I had grown fully accustomed to a world without light, the uncertainty of it had occasionally morphed into fear. My instincts reacting, I presumed. Danger was harder to perceive in the dark, after all. But once I had gotten used to it, the darkness felt almost compassionate, with its indiscriminating embrace. And now I was more stable here than I was in the light. The morning was an unusually pleasant one, though. All my problems were still problems, my curses still curses, but I felt like I had managed to break the surface and catch my breath for the first time in who knew how many years. Perhaps I could thank the dream I had. I rolled out of bed, grabbing the candlestick off my nightstand. With the remains of the mostly melted old one, I lit a new candle and headed for the door. Next on my list was the fireplace. I wanted to make sure there was always at least a small flame in it. But as soon as I stepped out into the hall... What are you doing there? I found myself face to face with Imeon, though that wasn't an entirely accurate description, as he was slashed against the wall across from my door.
Morning, Michelle.
I couldn't help but cringe at the sight of him. still insisting on keeping up his everything's alright act. What are you doing?
Seems pretty obvious to me.
Well, it isn't to me. You're clearly no condition to be walking around.
It's come.
What has?
My time.
The light from the candle fluttered about, slightly offset by the trembling of my bony hand. But Imeon, he was visibly shaking. Enough that I could probably have seen it even without the dim candlelight. But simply a physiological reaction to his condition. His breath sounded like puffs of wind. The whoosh of a bitter winter morning echoing in the hall. His arms and legs were so atrophied that if I didn't know better, I might think him a small tree, withering away in the fierce cold at first glance. My gaze slowly drifted downward, stopping at his splayed arms. Blotches of red were visible on the palms of his hands. Did you cough that up? I was reflectively made to draw nearer, but he stopped me after one step.
No, stay back. Don't touch me. You might catch it.
We've been living here together, breathing the same air. If I was going to catch it, I would have already. The fact that I haven't shows this is not an infectious disease.
Maybe, maybe not. But either way, you should touch the blood. You know as well as I do that blood is unclean. It carries everything in our bodies, even diseases. You may be able to catch it from the blood, even if you didn't from anything else. So I figured I'd drop on by, say my goodbyes.
I stopped myself before finishing the sentence, realizing just how foolish it would make me sound. I was the one who had told him to leave when he knew his time was up. But that was back then. That was just how I felt when he first showed up.
If I'm real lucky, I have maybe a couple days left. I've been hiding it, but it's been hard to even stand these last few days.
And you did a terrible job of it. Although I didn't realize you were in quite such bad shape.
Well, I guess I get a passing score on my acting then.
How can you laugh about this?
I'm in a great mood.
That's ridiculous. You can't be... Just drop the act already.
It's no act, bud. I'm serious. I'm feeling great. I had a fantastic time. And what better way to show that than with a nice laugh?
Looking down on the man laughing as death crept closer, I didn't feel pity or sorrow or anguish. I was angry. My chest clenched and my stomach lurched. How aggravating. There was something else there, too. Some other way I could describe it. But I didn't know what the feeling was. I couldn't draw it to the surface. It was aggravating, frustrating, sickening. Those simple negative emotions were what I kept falling back to. I wanted to block it all out. Imeon's deteriorating body. That comforting dream. My own circumstances. This dark mansion. The whole world.
I had an amazing time here with you. Seriously.
Stop it. You're just getting sentimental. Letting your emotions cloud your memory. I've done nothing for you. Think about your time before you got sick. When you were with your friends and family. Think about the time you spent traveling. Then you'll realize how insignificant your time here really was.
It was all a lie.
What?
I was never a traveler. My name isn't even Imeon. I never went to the Northlands. And I never saw the Danes. Even what I said about having a ton of friends. All lies. Here's the truth. I look like I came from the slums now, but I was born into a decently upper-class family. My father and brothers all own several estates. I wasn't traveling when I got sick, but at home. And for a while I was kept locked up to keep it under wraps. I spent my life doing everything asked of me for them. They turned on me the second I caught this damn disease. The servants I thought respected me, the brothers I thought loved me, they all wanted nothing to do with me anymore. And before long they started saying it was punishment for my transgressions. That I was cursed to transform into a hideous monster because I deserved it. Real swell family, huh? The disease hadn't progressed this far then either. So I still looked, well, half decent at least. Pretty damn good looking guy if I do say so myself. So I used that to manipulate one of the maidservants into helping me escape. And that's how my life as a nomad really began. So while I was something of a traveler, I was carrying some pretty big luggage along with me. Everywhere I went, I was treated like garbage. The Imeon you met, brimming with self-confidence, was all an act. I'm sorry for lying to you.
Why?
Why'd I pretend to be someone I'm not? Because
No! I don't care about that. Why didn't you say something sooner? Imeon's story, his life, was painfully similar to my own. I'd been called a demon, mocked and insulted, made out to be a madman and then locked away where no one could see me. Everyone I had thought to be on my side turned against me. You should have told me! Cracks began to form in the thick shell I had spent so long building around myself. Sharp claws dug their way through the flesh of my heart, which I had thought long since numb. Thick blood seeped from within me. It was absurd. If anyone here was hurting, it was Imeon. If I had known! If I had known, I could have done something. Was that where I was going with this? That I could have told him about my own past? And we could have bonded over our own suffering? No. That wasn't how it would have gone. If Imeon told me what he had been through right off, I would have seen so much of myself in him that I'd have likely detested him for it. I wouldn't have wanted to get to know him better. I wouldn't have wanted to even see him.
I suspected pretty early on that you'd been through something similar. That you weren't here of your own will. And from your mannerisms that you came from a noble family. Which is why I didn't want to say anything. I didn't want you to think that was why I was here. I didn't stay because we both led tragic lives. That's not why I found it so comfortable here. Everything about how I presented to you was a facade. Which is precisely why I was able to be myself. I can't tell you how wonderful it felt for you to accept me for me.
I didn't.
You didn't have to do anything. That was enough to set me free.
I could feel sweat trailing down the back of my neck. I couldn't follow along. Couldn't make sense of what he was saying. My heart was wavering, but I couldn't put any of it into words. What were you supposed to say to that? I hadn't the first idea. And with the way I had lived my life, the way I had closed myself off, I never would know.
So I want to thank you. Goodbye, Michelle.
Imeon let out a long sigh, like his nerves had loosened all at once now that he had said his piece. He then climbed to his feet using the wall for support, let out a couple of muffled coughs, started off down the hall, leaving me behind. Wait, Imeon! The shackles on my spirit were on the verge of coming off. Everything I'd worked so hard to bury was bubbling to the surface. The man I had killed in order to survive in this empty darkness was being fused with life anew. I was opening myself up. Wait, I lied too. Or I mean, what I said then isn't true now. I don't want you to leave anymore. I don't care if you've only got a few days left. You'll last longer here than you will out there.
So what? You're gonna take me in and nurse me?
Exactly. Imeon.
It's damn tempting, but no thanks.
Why?
I'm sorry.
Why? The first person I'd ever met who I could have possibly called an equal, a friend, was trying to withdraw from my life. Forever. Something inside me cracked, and something inside me formed anew. Morgana! 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 I know you're listening!
Michelle.
Cure him! Please!
That's enough, Michelle.
The witch isn't just a legend. She doesn't have a physical form, but she lives here in this mansion, and she's somewhere nearby, watching everything.
Really, it's okay.
Believe me!
I do believe you.
Imeon.
It's okay. Thank you.
Why are you so insistent on leaving? Didn't you want to talk to the witch?
I just think now's the best time to call it quits.
But why?
I do feel bad about this for what it's worth. And I'm seriously grateful to you too.
That doesn't tell me why.
Sorry. I want you to take what you're feeling right now and keep it with you.
You... what?
Seeing the person in yourself will help you see the person in someone else when you next have that chance. Whoever that is, you take them by the hand and get out of here. Go somewhere you both want to be. You may not find paradise, but you'll have a life.
What on earth are you talking about?
Alright. Now I'm seriously on my last legs. Can't even fake that I'm okay anymore.
Imeon.
So long,
Wait!
Michelle. I think we made pretty good friends, don't you?
And with that, he marched off down the dark hallway. It was almost unbelievable how sure-footed he seemed compared to only a few moments earlier. And then I realized what it was. His final show of self-confidence. I could have easily caught up to him, but my feet seemed to be rooted to the ground. Maybe because I knew that even if I stopped him, it wouldn't stop me from losing him. Because anything I did would amount to nothing. I slowly dropped to my knees. The candlestick spilled from my hand, the flame flickering out, a heavy darkness draping the hallway. I covered my face and uttered a sharp, bitter groan. He had lived here less than a month. We barely knew each other well enough to call ourselves acquaintances, never mind friends. There was no reason for me to be feeling this emptiness. But telling myself that didn't make the pain go away. The pain of having something dear snatched away from you. A pain I had never, ever wanted to have experienced again. I thought I could hear the witch cackling, whispering that opening myself up only made me vulnerable. That bringing that dying man into my house was only ever going to leave me feeling all the more lonely. That I always belonged in the darkness, not light.
Thank God he left the door off. I've barely got enough in me to push the door open.
Is that really how you want to do this?
Oh, it's you. Well, color me surprised. I figured you'd be with Michelle.
I'm here to see you all for him.
You mean you decided you'd get more entertainment out of me? A girl with long braided hair stood before me, a smile spread across her lips. Her form was vague, almost a silhouette, and I couldn't make out any details. But I still knew exactly who she was. This wasn't my first encounter with the witch, after all. I'd been able to see her and hear her voice since shortly after arriving at the mansion. When I had told Michelle that I believed she existed, I wasn't just saying it, I knew.
You're quite the seasoned liar. Making out like you're coming clean. And then replacing one set of lies with another. You can still go back and make it right. Tell him the truth, and you'll have my wish. Think about it, my dear.
A few days after taking up lodging at the mansion, the witch appeared before me. She spoke in a pretty but almost childlike voice, explaining how unusual it was that I could see her. Because evidently,
No one with a trace of hope in their heart is capable of seeing me. They can't hear my voice or even sense my presence. The despair that coursed through Michelle is what served as the catalyst for my resurrection. You're not here to be healed. You want to put a curse on someone, don't you?
that's right.
Your eyes don't lie.
I'm honestly kind of floored right now.
Hmm.
First, the Witch of Legend is real. And second, she's not even human.
A mortal could neither cause miracles nor cast curses.
Fair enough.
Hmm.
So, how'd you know what I really wanted?
It was obvious, my dear. All that murky filth swirling beneath your smiling visage is like a window directly into your soul.
Sounds like there's no hiding anything from you. So I can just drop the act, huh? Tell me you at least can't hear everything I'm thinking.
And what if I can?
I would appreciate a little bit of privacy.
Fear not, my dear. I don't have the ability to read your mind, no. But you should know that the world is you living. Is you living. But you should know that the world as you living see it and the world as I see it are very different things. Emotions such as your seething animosity, desire to curse, as well as fragments of your memory, are all laid bare to me. I normally wouldn't bother sparing anyone a moment of my time. I have a mission to accomplish, and I would like Michelle to accompany me on the long journey to its completion. So I don't have time to distract myself with anything else. If you were indeed nothing but a needlessly optimistic fool come in search of miracles, I would have done everything in my power to chase you out.
So I can assume the fact that I'm still here means you've taken at least something of an interest in me then.
Indeed, for you were broken enough to come seeking me.
Then I'll get straight to the point. I want you to curse my family. Every last one of those damn Castaignes. That's my final wish. The last thing I want from this life. I gave my whole life for my family. Sacrificed everything. They repay me with derision. Hell, making me into a demon. I'm here sick and miserable and no one gives a rat's ass. They need to experience the living hell I had to endure. I can't go in peace until they have.
It would be my pleasure.
Wait, seriously?
What? Do you not believe?
No. I just didn't think it would be that easy.
On one condition, though. I will offer my sincerest wishes for your family's utter devastation, so long as you offer me something in return.
Now that sounds more like the witch I was expecting. So what do you want from me? My life, sack of gold. My resources are a bit limited, but let's hear it.
Michelle's spirit.
Excuse me.
I told you I wanted Michelle to accompany me on my journey. But too much of his worldly concerns remain for him to be of any use to me right now. He still racks his mind over trivialing drivel.
That stone-faced Michelle. He has actual worries.
It's all an act. For now, that is. I want you to crush his spirit, transform him into something more fitting for my purposes. And then I will make your wish mine.
That sweet voice makes what you're asking all the more frightening. So how do I go about it?
Start by using your head, my...
It was worth a shot.
That said, I will give you a hint. You have at your disposal everything you need to become exactly what he desires most.
It didn't take long around Michelle to figure out what the witch meant. There was one thing he very clearly sought, and it was something I was presently capable of making myself into. I had everything one would need to slip through the cracks in the wall around his heart. I was on the verge of death. I didn't know a thing about him or his personal life. And I was a man. Michelle seemed to have trust issues when it came to women. He had no interest in a lover or a romantic partner, but a peer, a male friend. I guessed Michelle had probably been subjected to countless betrayals over the years. His mother, father, siblings, loved ones, but probably never at the hands of a friend. I doubted he'd even had a real friend before. So Morgana's proposal was for me to become his friend and then betray him.
There's still time for you to go back in there and reveal everything. To see your wish to fruition. You could even ask for a miracle instead of a curse. To rid what ails you.
Don't bother. I'm not interested in any of that anymore. I'm just going to go back out into the forest and die. So no, you won't get me to go back there.
I don't understand. What on earth brought you to this decision?
I stopped caring about getting back at my family.
Ugh.
That hatred was what had kept me going for so long. It was what had driven me to wander in search of the cursed mansion. I had, in service of it, feigned getting friendly with Michelle, until at some point it stopped being fake. I had found something more valuable than petty vengeance, and I wanted to live the rest of my life and then die for that. With a bit more time, maybe I could have even told him that he'd pulled me up from such a dark place. And then, were it within my power, I'd like to have done the same for him. But that was a dream beyond my reach. He would have to remain in his darkness for a while yet.
I can understand losing interest in cursing them, but you're ignoring the other part of my offer. That I could wish for a miracle. Perhaps you don't believe the cursed witch can perform miracles. But you would be mistaken. In life, do you know what I was called? A saint.
Well, you're a saint with one hell of a mean streak.
My, now that was hardly called for.
I'll pass on your miracle, too. Can't imagine it comes free of charge. The curse had a price. You want me to go in and tell him everything, right?
What do you have to lose? What possible reason could there be for you to hesitate?
That should be obvious even to you. I want him to think of me as a friend. That is what he wanted after all. A peer, a male friend. So if I'm gonna go, I want to go out as that.
You would give up your chance at life for something so utterly meaningless.
I don't care how stupid you think it is. I didn't have enough time to pull him out of his dark place. But if at least he remembered me as a friend, and that had some positive effect on him, however insignificant, I much preferred that to anything which was proposing. Just don't you go blabbing once I'm gone.
I can't make any promises, my dear.
You say a word to him and I'll curse you.
By heaven, are you picking a fight with a witch? Do you honestly believe you can curse me?
You bet I can. I could well turn into a witch just like you once I'm dead.
You very well could. You have all the makings of a fine witch. But you can rest easy, my dear. I won't be saying anything to him about you. Because you're too inconsequential to be worth mentioning.
Pardon?
At the end of it all, the only one Michelle truly needs is me. What he wants is a curse, and I am the only one who can provide it. You pretended to be his friend for a few weeks, but in a year's time, that memory will have eroded away into nothing. Your death will amount to nothing. All you did was cast a light on his isolation. And sooner or later, it'll transform him into an inhuman spirit who lives only to spread curses, much like myself.
Now that I can say you're wrong about. There's more care and understanding in him than you realize. He hides it, but it's there. Don't fool yourself. The whole world isn't gonna bend to your whims. Morgana. There's nothing left I could do. Couldn't leave any more of a mark on him. Or could I free him from her? Someday, someone would appear. Man, woman, friend, lover, it didn't matter. Someone would enter his life, take him by the hand, and lead him out of this cursed mansion. Someone would drag him out of his darkness.
Well, you turned out to be quite the disappointment. Everything I once saw in your eyes has been purified away into nothingness. Mark my words. All your hopes will be in vain. And you can watch from the afterlife, helpless as everything I said comes to pass.
And I'll be praying from the pearly gates that you're wrong.
Well, this is where we part ways then. Farewell, no ami. Until our souls cross paths once more in the boundless sphere of fate.
Looks like this is as far as I go. Can't see a damn thing anymore. But hey, could be worse. I feel like I've been set free. Like all my shackles have been loosed. I've found one thing to appreciate about this disease. It gave me the one chance in my life to be myself. Hey, Michelle. We're not that different after all. You were my first friend, too. My real name was Nomi Castagnier. Imeon, the name I went by, was just my first name, spelled backwards, but truth be told, I was pretty fond of it. Anything else I might have come up with would have probably given away my gender straight off. Nearly everything I told Michelle was a lie. From claiming I was a guide to the story of my escape. I hadn't used my good looks to trick a maidservant into helping, but instead manipulated a manservant. But looking back on it now that it was all over, I felt like the fake me, Imeon, was more me than the real thing. I'd always felt constricted my whole life. Nothing but barriers from the day I was born. I loved playing music, writing stories, running, riding a horse, swinging a sword, anything that gave me some sort of freedom. But I was only allowed that until I was about 10 years old. At which point my life became training in everything I needed to be married off to some noble man. I still remembered those days vividly.
sitting stone still, staring out the window while I had my portrait painted. I caught sight of a large bird taking off to fly north, watching it flap its heavy wings. I fantasized about riding the bird off somewhere far away, to a beautiful, boundlessly lush land no one had ever seen before. I would found my own nation, and I would be its first citizen. It would be a land without unfair rules and customs. A land where everyone was equal. Man, woman, young, old, a smile on everyone's face. And you would be free to choose who you spent your life with. There would be no nobility and there would be no slaves. And in this land, I would finally be able to find my true self. Michelle? Michelle? Oh goodness, what are you doing in here?
Oh, Mother.
Still looking at that painting, are you?
Yes, there's something about it.
You agree with me, don't you? It's a wonderful proposition, but your brothers never seem to want to listen to me. We'll have to return the painting to the Castagniers. And afterward, they went through all the trouble.
Indeed.
But all that aside, it's time for supper, Michelle. We're celebrating Didier's return tonight, so don't you dawdle. You need to be there and show him how much you love him.
Yes, Mother. I'll be right down.
Don't keep us waiting.
It's been bothering me. Why couldn't I take my eyes off the painting of the Castagnier girl? But I think I figured it out. That forlorn look in her eyes. There's something more than resignation in those eyes. A trace of longing lurked within them as well. He was looking out a faraway world, distant not only in physical location from our own, but in time as well. A boundless dream dwelled in her heart. I found myself slipping into her place, fantasizing about the same distant land. A place where I was allowed to be myself. And if by some chance I were able to make it there, would I find you there, Noemi?
I think we made pretty good friends, don't you?
Those were his last words before disappearing into the darkness. Their time together was brief, and they knew nearly nothing of each other. So could they in fact be called friends at all? Could you be friends with someone so nearly a stranger? You don't know where they came from, or who they truly were beneath the surface. Had they known, though, were they aware of each other's inner selves, never would they have been able to become friends at all.
We made pretty good friends.
It was precisely because the two knew nothing that they were able to know one another. Hey, wait, what? Oh, there it is.
Are we doing that one?
Oh, goodness, no.
Next time.
Not at all?
Next
or
time.
next time?
It's
Okay.
literally almost 9 where I'm
That's
at.
what I meant.
It is.
Yeah, big emotion. The con probably was dying throughout a portion of that.
Yeah, I can tell.
Oh, look at her. Look at her.
Because you never
I
seen.
forgot. I'm not used to Morgana not being a sourpuss. I forgot about it.
Also, for the record, this is like extra clarified in. For the record, this is extra clarified in the what's it called?
The manga.
No, not the manga. The like after
The
party.
light novel.
The after party for Requiem for Innocence, where they meet up with Imeon for a little bit. Because in funny fake fairy tale land, she is not dead. They do Imeon does flat out say, "Yeah, I'm a girl."
Whenever we were going through this, I was thinking, man, I kind of wish that they went with like a more like a gruffer dude for this kind of. It's kind of weird like them to have this twink, and then I thought that's probably a woman.
Okay. Rindy almost definitely passed out, because otherwise she'd be very upset about being queer baited again, quote unquote queer baited.
Poor
She was going gay in the chat.
Honestly,
gay,
same,
homosexual,
though.
gay.
Honestly,
And then
I am
was killed.
here.
Oh, there she is.
Yeah.
We got
Randy was going. Hey, chat,
At least
I'm
she's
not wrong.
hot.
That was raw.
You know, minus the leprosy.
I mean,
But
I
mean,
assumed
it
originally.
It makes you feel.
I
like
assumed and
lesbian.
wasn't entirely convinced. I only like went with these pronouns because Morgana specifically called him a man early on.
The
And they
characters
insisted.
believe that it was a man.
Yeah.
Sounded like a man too. Sounded like a dude
Also,
with
hey,
a
look
raspy
at-
voice.
Well, no, they
Hey,
specified the most gender neutral individual you could possibly make.
Oh,
Kinda
come
gave it
on!
away.
I said that because they kept referring to her by
It's
they.
weird to specify.
What do you
it,
want me to
though.
say? This is
It
why I
was
thought that to be the
obvious after
case.
that.
Well, I mean, it also helps that they do directly state constantly that Imeon sounds like a rasping old man.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that would have made me
Well,
think it was a dude.
They are dying.
I mean,
of
yeah,
the
but I
disease,
didn't want
though.
fucking nowhere to go. Yeah, I'm sounding like this.
Just sound like you're
entire time."
dying.
Yeah, you probably do
Yeah,
sound like
just
that.
You gotta-
sound like
you
yourself
gotta
but dying.
Those DMs is what you gotta do.
Jeez.
They're so big.
But I liked it. It was
After
big
what
emotion.
video
I
of
almost
tonight.
did a cry. It was very sad. I loved it.
Yeah.
Big
Almost.
teardrops coming out of your face.
I didn't do a full cry, but it's like, oh man, I felt the tear ducts.
Look at shit, she's
watering.
kind of drippy. Not gonna
A
lie.
drip didn't get
You
me.
said this 2 days ago.
I did not say this 2 days ago. What?
Somebody
I
did.
did.
Well, someone
Someone
said it
else.
was stripped.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
said
Well,
that.
I
I think it was Rindy last time.
Drip drop distance.
Mm-hmm.
I'm so
Yeah, it
used to
was one-
Morgana being grumpy now. It's weird her laughing and smiling.
Was she ever a smiling girl?
Yes.
Yes, whenever she died.
But was she ever a smiling friend?
No.
Eh?
I don't think she was ever smiling at the same time as being a friend.
Morgana is only happy whenever she's causing misery.
That's
Are
not true.
we gonna open the back door?
It's simply not
Oh no, I don't think we can do the extras until we've read everything else.
Is
Sorry,
the
good.
back door? Is the
much-
back
No, wait,
door
the extras,
our?
man, the extras are just. Aren't the extras just art?
I think they're just
Also,
art, yeah.
Yeah.
Does the back door lead to the backyard?
Yeah, the extras
No.
are just like art and music.
Damn it, why is this not an anime yet? Look how cool this is.
We have
Look how
to
cool-
defeat
Oh,
that
because-
man to
Maybe.
get to the back door.
Because reincarnation just goes like full anime design, like the
Oh, does it?
fucking yeah, like the goddamn Castlevania art style you're used to, completely thrown out.
Wait, Castlevania?
Really?
Oh, you mean the Castlevania cover art style? I was thinking you meant the Netflix show.
Oh yeah, that
The
being
Amano.
said, technically speaking, reincarnation has voiceover, but it's all in Japanese. So we'll be able to turn that on occasionally and hear an idea of what they should probably sound like. But I like what we got going better.
So
Yeah.
I don't think
Japanese like usual.
I don't think I like the idea of them switching the art style.
Well, too bad.
I mean, Well, that's too damn bad. No, the only argument, even though I was kind of sad about it, is I mean, reincarnation, baby.
I take it as good.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
But also, I think it's a different company or whatever.
Yeah, probably.
You mean like it was outside? I assume that the author was doing the art, or were they not? Was it a
It's-
team?
No. It's
Was it
one of the
commission?
artists. They work with them. They work with them regularly. I think
Mhm.
they're doing their art for Project M. I could be wrong though, or at least one of the
Project
artists
M?
are. We're gonna
Project.
talk about that later.
Yeah, that's the next thing that Novect is making.
Oh, it has nothing to do with fata morgana.
100%. Like
Oh no,
literally
yeah.
nothing involved with Morgana.
Okay.
Noemi is just the French version of Naomi, a Hebrew biblical name meaning pleasant, loving, and wise.
Oh,
Oh.
that's so fitting. I
So
love
the
it.
the Castellano, whatever the hell their names were, they were how often were they brought up in the past? Because I don't remember
They
their
were
names.
literally not.
Exactly. They exist solely for this
Okay, so
side
it's
story.
this. Okay, I thought it sounded familiar, but I was also zoned out kind of during the beginning part of this.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, no, like the Castagnets were like a brand spanking new thing, exclusively for this. Like that's why Morgana went. You know, Michelle's not gonna care about like any of this in a minute because like they can't really write this. They can't really write this like into the main plot.
We wrote a side story that takes place in the middle of the main plot. Therefore, it cannot be relevant in any way.
So you said this was vaguely brought up in the past, the idea of him talking to a sick person?
It was brought up twice, so...
What was brought up? I don't remember what the original...
Michelle just kind of like went, you know, there was that one time that sick person visited here for a little bit. That was crazy, but anyways.
And then
seems kind of dismissive of his experience.
Let me finish.
Yeah, like
let me finish, please.
Go ahead, B.
Anyways, also, so when we were having that little goof off session in that other door, about the singing and how bad Michelle is at it, they were like, I learned this one song from a bard. That was them.
Oh.
Well, he sure didn't bring up that experience too much.
I mean, it was brought up in door 8. When they were
It seemed
talking
like weirdly emotional and like life influencing, and it's for it to not be brought up again.
It is a bit jarring.
Yeah, it's just kind of it's just like a nice like little side story about like an experience that Michelle had, and it had some like nice emotional beats and stuff, and it was just kind of nice.
And then it didn't change his character at all.
Well, I mean, like he said, like
it saved his spirit.
Work. Yeah. It just gave him a little bit of time.
It taught him how to dream again.
It also kind of like helped out in the sense that with the implication of like, Michelle kind of carrying that emotion into the future is how we learn to stop and appreciate Giselle, or at the very least understand her situation.
It's how he learned how to put a knife to a woman's neck.
Hey,
but is that what he did whenever he was threatening her? I forget.
He did that one time, but that's because he perceived her as a threat.
Which is also
moved on from there.
Which is also why this person here seems to keep referring to themselves as he.
Mm-hmm. Michelle fucking hates women, admittedly, for a pretty distinct and kind of understandable reason. But I say kind of with like 15 air quotes.
I mean, the guy was traumatized to high hell.
The two women that he knows at all are Lydia and Amy. And both of them are the worst people in existence.
Word.
Yeah.
I can't think of any other women that are extensively referred to.
Mm-hmm.
He'd probably seen a woman at the market.
I mean,
she doesn't go to the market.
I mean, it's like saying you've seen.
How quaint.
A child probably went outside.
Now don't stare. It's rude, you know.
Well, I mean, there's that side story where he did go outside for a little bit and meet somebody.
How many fucking side stories are there?
I mean,
Did
here
you
we
say
can
there
just
was like
Wouldn't
17?
so we can just talk about this a little bit really quickly. It's not even a spoiler. It's just the premise of the short story. Literally just there's a side story called, I believe, Boy Meets Girl, where Michelle goes out to a marketplace at one point when he is younger and meets Giselle without knowing.
It's fucking
That's
stupid.
a bit much. Come on.
Fata Morgana
Oh, the
babies.
strings
They
of
make your
fate.
dreams come true.
Come on!
It's cute.
It's cute, but
You know, it does sound cute, though.
You
It
can
does
be
sound
cute and stupid. Just look at Ruby.
You can
That's a joke, Rennie.
pretend
I'm
it's
not
not
criticizing you.
canon.
Also, I noticed that in that art there that Morgana was just a skeleton with hair.
Like,
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Oh wait,
Should I
whoopsies.
go
Oh no.
over-
Sometimes she's a
Should I
ghost.
go over the summary of what each short story is?
Does it just like? I mean, if you want to, but also we're a little bit over.
Oh, never mind. Fuck it.
Yeah.
It's gonna do this every time I pick the short story button.
They
Oh,
were
no.
left to waste away in obscurity, Orange.
Yeah, see, there's Boy Meets Girl.
My
So is
boy
this-
meets
Is
world.
this okay? It's two pain. Okay.
Wait, and does the next one have
17
just as
paint?
many? Because if so, that's 20. Okay, 5, 10, 15, 16,
It's
17,
17.
18.
Oh, 18.
There's 18
not-
swords.
Oh man, they have a Beauty and the Beast story. We haven't seen one of those yet.
What is
The
Rose
nuts-
Manor?
It's funny
What's
because
amazed you?
I believe
it
the
would be
ghost
part
of
one, wouldn't it?
I believe the Ghost of Rose Manor, the Maid and the Beast, and like no, actually not the Maid and the Beast. There's one other one. There's like two others that are like were originally required for you to read. But yeah, no, yeah. So next time we're gonna do fragments, which is actually like unbelievably short, but also oh hey cool some DLC downloaded for Theorhythm. But anyways, we're gonna read fragments, which is unbelievably short. I think it's like 10-15 minutes long, but also we ended up using what little time we could have to actually read through that. And then I guess we could start reincarnations. We could do with the after theaters really quickly.
I
I mean,
think
see, there
that
you go. I mean, that works out.
Or we could just save it until we're like all said and done with reincarnations. Eh.
Bro, I'm not ready for reincarnations.
You know what, Joshy? I'm not either. Because I haven't read it.
Okay, Joshy,
Really?
what if it's less of a
Okay.
reincarnation and it's more of a reconstruction?
I'm worried. I'm worried
no.
from what I saw of Giselle and Jacopo in that screenshot Justin showed us.
Wait, what screenshot?
To clarify, well, number one, yeah, I looked up. I wanted to get an example of the art style for
Spoilers.
reincarnations, and I also have like a rundown of what goes on in
Wait,
reincarnations
isn't it in the
already.
configurations? Can't you see them?
What? Huh?
Can you see them in the configurations? Because that's where they have the voices at.
What? Oh
Are
no
they
no no
there?
no! I was looking for an example of the art style and
Yeah.
to show them. Oh wow! Holy
Yeah.
shit! Oh Mel B
Congratulations.
Trippy! Holy
Trippy.
shit!
Okay, here's the thing. It's really good. I still think it's uncanny to me though. The art
And
style
other.
switch.
Dude,
It
look
looks
at
like a
Maria
visual
though.
novel from a
Damn.
different series.
Congratulations.
Look at Maria though. Bitch got it going on.
Where's Michelle's cool jacket? What the fuck?
I love the other is just an empty spot.
He's
Right here, though.
business casual.
Man, fucking Jacopo looks like a fucking idiot.
Oh.
He looks like a
I
guy.
leave
He
for 5
just looks
minutes.
like
His
a guy.
posture
looks
makes
like he
him
works
go
at
like
the
he's like
bank.
shrugging his arms
His
like, oh,
posture
yeah.
is standing straight.
Yeah.
It's just got like shoulder pads.
Anyways,
I leave for 5 minutes and I come back to this.
Whoa,
What is this?
whoa, whoa,
I hate
whoa,
that.
Josh.
I'm going to die if I
Alright,
don't
people,
get to say my
people,
fucking
people-
words.
Go
Run
ahead,
it
B.
back. Look at Yuki Masa's unmatching fit. I fucking hated striped shirt jacket.
Why does he have a straight
Why?
Why does he dress
alright.
like a sailor?
Because
Yeah,
he
look,
He's
is.
looking for
There
Taylor
was.
Swift,
He
isn't he?
looks so
Mel, I think
silly.
Mel
Why?
won.
No,
At
you
least,
know
he
what?
got the good.
He's dressed like a
part.
mime.
Morgana,
Yeah, he
He's
looks like a
French.
French mime a little bit.
Oh
No,
Like
see-
a sexual mime.
Wait, you can
Morgana just looks like Wednesday Adams.
I
All
hate it because
the
I adore like that particular style of outfit that Jacopo is wearing, but by God is he stupid.
Yeah, I know.
Can we talk about
He looks
Mikkel's
like
strip for a
God,
second?
does Jacopo suck?
I mean, like it's him without the jacket, which is unfortunate because the jacket is great, but it's.
Why is Mel wearing golf pants and the world's
They're
hugest
black.
necked
He's
sweater?
going golfing.
Wait,
He's a high
Strangling.
school student.
Oh my
pants.
goodness.
Okay, first off, I just noticed this is a huge neck sweater over what seems to be him wearing a collared dress shirt under it.
Yeah, he's
yeah,
wearing girl
absolutely.
blood clothes. You ever heard
That's real
girl blood
hot.
clothes?
Okay, how about Maria though? The varsity
I
jacket.
mean, yeah, Maria fucking killed it. Like, are you kidding me? That's exactly what she'd wear in the modern era.
Maria
Yeah,
and
she
Pauline
would.
got it going on. Nelly's
Legitimate.
just fits for what's
A
Nelly.
Leatherman
about
jacket
Giselle?
and
Has
short
always
sleeves.
been.
I
Can't find anything
this
that
might be
says
my bias showing, but I really
faces.
like Mills' outfit.
No,
No,
just
it's a drip. I just find it strange on Mel.
What is
Life,
Yeah,
death,
he's just
life,
wearing a
death,
sweater
life,
with
death,
the
life,
feathers.
death.
What is other?
Other like
What is
people,
other?
like other
Generic
voices.
voices.
Randos.
The ones that aren't these specific
Also,
people.
I'm gonna do something that people might hate, but I'm gonna drop the accent from modern Mel.
I mean, that's fine. Well, actually,
That's
no.
fine.
Yeah, that
Wait,
makes
he's
sense.
still British.
Yeah, wait, no,
Yeah,
all
he's
these
still
characters
British.
are like
He's
French.
literally wearing a schoolboy clothes.
I want.
Oh, even
should I
worse.
still keep it? I feel like
I mean,
don't-
at least
I can
live
only
in-
do like
You
a
don't have to-
past, like a
You don't
person
have
from
to
like
be
the
a. You don't have to.
past.
It doesn't have to be a past accent. It doesn't have to be a heavy British accent. I'm just saying they're still from
Oh,
England.
blimey, governor.
I thought they were
I
French.
mean, like, technically
I'm
speaking,
British.
like
Everyone else-
everybody
well-
like sans Yukimasa probably doesn't, probably lives in France. Or
I mean, isn't
Maria-
Jacopo still Italian?
Northern
Maria
France,
and
you might say, like
Jacopo
somewhere
are
in
still
Normandy or
Italian.
Paris.
Oh god damn it.
Pauline and Yukimasa's
Thanks
sister,
for that,
Pauline,
Robert.
is still probably half Japanese.
Mhm.
But, whichever. Morgana.
Actually, I guess
Unfortunately,
Michelle
oh yeah,
and
that's
Giselle
right.
are still French.
She still
Why
has
would it
like
be
tragically.
because Pauline in like the quote unquote modern version, aka like the stuff where she's not a fucking priest. She is half Japanese because she wanted to be a little bit like Yukimasa when in the past times, so she became half Japanese in the future. And
Every weeb's shame.
and considering her hairdress, I imagine that is still the case, and she's still partially Japanese.
Man, just to be able to wish what race you are, huh?
You know, I think the
Yeah, that
funnier
seems a
fucking
little-
bit about that is that the reason why the nun Pauline doesn't have, you can't see your fucking hair is because, hey, wait a minute, your hair's different. That's weird.
He's
Yeah.
got a chopstick in it.
I just love.
Also, are these like
Maria's
accurate
outfit.
height comparisons?
I imagine so.
Yeah.
Then like, is Mel like taller than fucking Maria?
Yeah.
I mean,
Like,
He's
I
a
expected
guy,
Mel
I
to
mean,
be
they're like-
short.
They're like
still a
roughly
dude.
the same height.
I expected Mel to
he's
be a
like a
little
little
baby
bit
man
taller.
baby.
Are they
He's
like,
baby
both
man.
like younger.
Look,
is it like-
it's going. Look, it's going by like
Short women,
by
big
convention. Yeah, it's going by like conventional like anime heighting, where like the guys are the tall ones and the girls are the short ones. That's how it goes. Except for
like Mel
Giselle,
should
who
be
is like
shorter.
distinctly, who is actually like a little bit taller than Mel, I think.
It's
Yeah.
also
Is she-
generally just life.
She's
No,
shorter.
she's actually shorter than Mel. Mel's
By,
like
like, a
taller than
tiny
we
bit.
all
About the same
expected.
fucking
Mel.
height.
It.
I feel like they fucked up Mel's
Yeah,
height.
then according to this,
Yeah,
Michelle
Mel's-
Morgana is the shortest one here.
Well, yeah, she's like a
in
child.
real life.
Yeah,
she's
she's
like
a child.
She's a little
Connor.
baby, a little baby girl, baby.
Yeah,
Mel
she's a
should
big
have
girl.
teddy bear energy, not short king energy, but teddy bear energy.
I thought Nellie was younger than her.
Short
Yeah.
girls exist.
Yeah, I just
of
thought of.
varying heights and ages.
I just thought of. I see this sprite of Morgana, and it reminds me of that anime where that girl is gonna dance because she's angry that it's a Sunday.
Morgana is 155 centimeters.
I'm just
But,
saying,
like, yeah,
I think it's a bit funny that like there is not a single like character, there's not a single like pairing in this lineup where they are like at like close to head height with each other. There is
Nelly
always
and
like
Mel.
there's like a head of difference. Okay, that's not even when I say pairing.
I mean, Maria is the same as Pauline almost.
That's not a pairing either. Well, I mean,
Wait, what do you mean by a pairing?
in my dreams that's a pairing, but no.
You
it's-
mean like the
I mean, like
canon
how
romantic?
Yeah, like Michelle and Giselle have like a head's difference on each other. Yukimasa and Pauline have a head's difference on each other.
I mean,
Is it actually
Mel
going to
and
be about
Nelly are
Pauline
half
and
a head.
Yukimasa?
Mhm.
God damn. What about Maria? What's she gonna? Is she just gonna? I think she should just interact with everyone's story.
Maria will be a strong, independent woman who don't need no man. Or she's gonna bump on Jacopo or something.
I think
she's friends with Pauline in like the epilogue. So
she's Jacopo's best friend.
I think she needs like 50. That's how she pays the bills.
I also like I'm looking at like Marie's like outfit. Is she like still in high school as well? Or
no, she's an adult.
Nah, she's just.
No, she just owns a Letterman jacket.
Wait, so I left for 5 minutes. What are we? Is this reincarnation?
These are the reincarnation characters.
This is the drip.
Mm-hmm.
Are these their sprites too?
Yeah, this is the art style.
This isn't as bad as I thought it would. Yeah, again, we brought this up. I think Mel should be shorter than Maria.
Michelle looks like Yuki from Fruits
I said Mel, yeah. Did I say Michelle? I meant Mel. Sorry.
They aren't that much different in size.
Dude,
admittedly, like,
I love Maria.
Short women can exist. It's fine.
I mean, like, I've always gotten the impression that Maria was like taller than Mel.
Hey,
to be fair,
I'm short and I'm a woman. What the fuck are you talking about?
What are you talking about?
What?
We didn't say anything about that.
Okay,
I don't even know what the fuck happened.
We should find out what we're talking about.
About 50 people talked before I could elaborate on what I said.
If I may, I was not saying that short girls don't exist. I'm saying I find it funny that like every guy has like a head's height on almost every single girl outside of Mel.
That's the case with a lot of people.
Yeah,
I mean, yeah, I know. It's just I don't know.
It's the spot of the pattern that's happening within these set of characters.
My pattern recognition is kicking in.
Yes, that is a thing that you can have happen. I don't know how that's hard to understand.
Yeah.
Well, anyways, good night, everybody.
Good
night. Bye-bye.
Oh, wait, are we still on stream?
Yeah, we sure are.
Yeah,
Clint,
we are.
Well, then it's perfect time to remind people
with some facts and information. Hold
to
on a
tell
second.
people about.
Mel's outfit goes so hard, yeah. Mel and Nelly are going to France. Mel and Nelly are going to France on a trip, I believe. They're still British. I thought that Mel and Nelly were like separate and didn't know each other in actually, yeah, hey, wait a minute. No, wait, that's right. Oh yeah, that's right.
The siblings.
They no, but like they went to like high school at the end of it, or like they went to separate high schools at the end of like the thing, but they didn't necessarily say that they were like in France or anything.
Why would they not be related? They were super close.
Well, no, but like no. The implication was that they were like separated at birth and they didn't like know each other at all.
Was that implied?
I mean, yeah.
I thought the implication was she just reincarnated into someone that isn't his sister.
I have been told that they are still related.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
How related?
What do you mean? They're siblings.
Yeah, like they're still siblings. They just got separated.
Good. I don't want God enabling her incest.
They believe that was like I imagine the like, well, quote unquote Morgana or the curse rather believe that was probably the best course of action for them to have never met each other.
Yeah, but now they have like that.
But they're gonna meet each other anyway. But more to the point.
God damn it!
No.
Yeah. So other than that, Mel is 168 centimeters and Maria is 160. Okay. Morgana is 150 feet and 155 centimeters. Okay.
150 feet tall?
No. Anyways, that's the end of the stream.
Good night.
Good night.
Oh, that was
I thought you would known about that.